Let us know where you're checking in from. This is Big Dog Chico live and direct on the Big Dog Chico channel. Prime Parents, once again, you can also find us live on the Pregame Network. We're coming in live right now with a special guest, Dr. Jaun Bautista. He's coming live from the office, so let's go. Uncle Neely, how you doing? Checking in with me.
Doing great, Chico. Had a great day today. Practice 7 in the books. Everybody's back safe and sound from spring break. And, I always look forward to Tuesdays because that means it's time for Prime Parents. And one of the things I love about Prime Parents, man, you can almost just draw straws or close your eyes and pick randomly. You're going to get some good people because we got a team full of good people. And I just love to learn. When I look around the room, man, and see a lot of these young guys I admire in the work ethic and how they go about their craft, I just sit back and go like, I wonder what he was like as a kid.
There you go.
And Prime Parents gives a guy like me an opportunity to get to know people I already know because I work with them, but I get to know them a little deeper. And that's what I appreciated too for the fans out there. And I love the way they love Prime Parents because it gives us some insight into the players that we love and respect and admire, how they came to be who they are today.
Absolutely. So let's get right into it right now with our guest of the day. We're going to bring in Doc. We want everybody in the chat to make some noise for Dr. Jaun Bautista. Let's go, baby.
All right, guys. How you doing?
Doing good.
How you doing, Doc?
Good. Hey, I'm going to give a quick shout out. Can't see, this is actually my brother, Titus's uncle. He's still working too. He's a physician assistant here. So we're in the trenches today working.
We got dad and uncle.
Yeah, that's right, man. So he's the one that gives all the good advice to my son.
Well, hey, they're like a family business, family profession right there, family career-wise right there. We could start right there then and getting right into it, into your background. I guess we could start with your father also, who has his own accomplishment that you can go ahead and get into right now. So let's start with your background.
Yeah, so we were, come from a family in the medical field. My father, who actually, migrated here from Mexico, worked in the fields. We come from a background of migrant farm workers, and him through the help of others, much as you guys are helping these young men, through the help of others, he was given the opportunity to study medicine, and he made a commitment, that would never turn our back on those less, fortunate than us. So here at this clinic, we predominantly serve the underserved and the elderly. So 2 days a week, I do this. The other 3 days a week, as you see on my social media, I take care of a lot of athletes, a lot of ex-athletes, a lot of sports medicine. But, we're big believers in the sense that not only knowing where you come from, or even Titus, as it skips down a generation, remembering where our ancestors come from. So here at this clinic, we see a lot of cool people. We get to help a lot of people out.
Man, that's nice right there, man. Just to even start there and have that background and have that foundation. How did, first of all, step back just a minute.
Yeah.
You have a football background. You have the medical background.
Yeah.
How did you balance all of that to stay focused enough to even have a career in the medical field?
You know what's funny, man? So my father, a lot of people will talk to us and they'll say, you came. So my father used to be homeless, right? Oh, you were homeless. Or for like myself, you're a first generation. And many people will turn that and say as a disadvantage. Oh, because of this, I struggled. Well, we were trained quite the opposite. My dad, in our mentality, was because of this, we have a hard work ethic, right? So for me, I remember when I was in medical school, I went to go speak in, the south side of Chicago, and I was speaking to some kids, and they said, is medical school hard? And I said, challenging, yes. Hard, no. Picking in the fields in 103-degree weather, that's hard, right?
There you go.
Having to balance, your mortgage, support single-family households, that's hard. So for me, working in an air-conditioned hospital or a library, it was pretty easy. And I think that's one of the things that, actually attracted us also to Colorado, is being able to put in that work and show off our work, and that's what I love about the staff that were Coach Prime. It doesn't matter if you're a 5-star, no star, you got to put in that work. And if you put in that work, you'll get an opportunity.
Love that. Uncle Neely, you seeing that firsthand right there, huh?
Yeah, work gets recognized. It doesn't not go without recognition and promotion. And that's one of the things I've loved about, just watching Titus over these seasons, is that you talk about the personification of lunch pail, blue collar, quietly going about his business, but has the total respect of his room and teammates. when did you first start seeing that trait in him, that the family business as far as that work ethic was going to continue?
Yeah, he Titus is a lot different than me in the sense, he's very quiet. I was always fired up when I played football at Fresno State. I was one of those go guys. Titus is more like his uncle Hector here, my brother Luis. He comes back from a wrestling background and things like that. But when I was a kid, I used to come home because Titus grew up with his mom out in Chicago. Nicole did an amazing job keeping him in all these different sports. So I'd work here in Fresno, then I'd fly to Chicago, and I'd see him doing pull-ups. I'd come in at 11 at night. He'd be doing pull-ups with his earphones on, doing push-ups. And at the time, he only played football 1 year of Pop Warner, and then later on didn't play till his junior and senior year of high school. But man, I used to see him self-determined, just working. And he's one of those guys that I would never have to say, hey, Mijo, get up and let's go work out. He'd wake me up, hey, Pop, I want to work. Now, part of it was for basketball. Chicago's a big basketball city, right? And then the other one was big into, toughness, so wrestling, MMA, stuff like that.
He was just, oh man, this was right before we left for the break. I had lunch with him and some other players, and everybody talks about where they're from, and of course pride was there, and this was one of the days where Titus was a little more vocal, and so the subject came up about who is the best player at this particular sport from your hometown. And he said, man, I could run a long list being from Chicago, but I got to put me on it.
Yeah.
Nice. And everybody's like, you didn't play no basketball. He's like, no, I play basketball better than I play football.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I got a cool video, man, of us walking in the snow just to get to a practice, right? And I used to tell him, they go, see me home. I go, you're walking to the snow just to get to practice. We're not canceled. We're going to walk through this blizzard. And but he also figured, much like his dad, 5'10", DePaul Prep's a real good school out there in Chicago. There, Whitney Young, he said, I might try to play football. So the funny thing was, I flew in after work, and I told his mom, I go, is he going to play much? It was his junior year of high school. And she's like, I don't know. So we just went to support. Man, that kid was running the ball, and that's when we know, wow, he's actually pretty good. And then, because he didn't have a big background in football, there was a lot of things he was still learning. And then his senior, he came in, was all conference, all league. And that's when we said, wow, this kid can definitely play. And the same thing with wrestling, track. And you can see he's always been a thick kid. You see a lot of the track guys, little skinny guys. And so he decided, at the last minute, he said, Dad, I want to play. And the only place I want to play is with Coach Prime. And that was something else.
Yeah, he told that story as well as far as, and this was, again, just 2 weeks ago, about just coming to the realization that, hey, I think I got a better future than another sport because height-wise, I can do it, but that's an uphill climb being, 5'9", 5'10", versus focusing on wrestling and running the football.
Yeah.
What was it about Colorado and Coach Prime that made it? Well, we know from the outside looking in, but from you guys' family, what was it that made it so attractive to be there at Colorado?
The thing about Titus, right? There was several things, right? He excelled academically, and he decided he wanted to go to medical school. He didn't have a huddle or any of these things. Other schools started looking at him, and he said, no, I really want to focus on going to medical school. And then, kind of shortly after wrestling, he's, obviously started, watching Colorado, and he also started praying a lot. And that's when he told me, he said, Dad, there's something about this program that I need to do. So it was, and me, I was like, man, this is going to be darn near impossible, because a lot of people want to play for Coach Prime. But little things just kept matching up. A real good friend of mine, Coach Tedford, who was a coach at Cal and then at Fresno State, was talking to me, and he saw some film, and I didn't want to be biased. I said, man, this is my son. I take care of a lot of athletes. Everybody thinks their son is the next best thing, right? So I wanted an unbiased thing, and he looked at his film and he said, man, this kid can play. And so he ended up making a call to I want to say it's Ray Forsett, because because he coached his brother, and he said, hey man, this kid gets a shot. And there's multiple stories that kind of said like this was meant to be, and so we worked out. We didn't receive a call, and then one day before camp, we received a call from Corey, and he said, Titus, would you like to join the team? And that was it. All it took is for us to fly down there, and then the rest is history. And so it was one of those things that he prayed for. And, I know it sounds cliche, but you really do get what you pray for. You put out that energy, you definitely get it. I tell it to my patients all the time, So there's another story. I'll jump ahead. It's just really cool. I remember, I was in Florida for a medical conference. And my other son that does theater arts and acting, he was trying out for a play, trying out for a part down there. It didn't go so well. And I go, Mijo, let me tell you the story of Denzel Washington. These are younger kids. And so I told him about Denzel Washington. It took him till he was about 30 years old to get his first gig. And, and then it was so funny. He's like, okay, whatever, Dad, right? I fly back from Florida. That Monday, I turn on Instagram, and Coach Prime says, we have a guest here today. And who is it? It's Denzel Washington. And I'm like, well, what are the odds, right? Western society would say that's a coincidence. But people from our background know that it's energy. The energy you put in is energy you get out. So one, that knocks me on my feet. I'm here right about CPAP. I'm like, oh my God, I was just talking about this guy. Literally, not only says that, he says, what are the gifts God gives you, and who are you going to share them with? Anybody want to be a doctor? Oh, you young man. Camera turns around and he says, Titus. Oh, Titus, man, my heart dropped. I said, he is in the right place.
Yes, that is amazing right there. Just to hear that, and then the fact that you can witness that and be there and be sitting right there with them because of the camera work that's there. We always say this on Prime Parents, and we always ask the parents, like, how do you feel that you can be right there with them each and every day, pretty much, whether you just get a glimpse of them but you could see what's going on in their world.
Right. No, and it's so important, man. I played college ball, and a lot of people, you tell stories and they ask, but they really don't know. This is a way for us as parents, but also other people to see this is full-time work. These young men put their hearts and souls. And that's why I take care of a lot of boxers, a lot of UFC professional fighters. You'll never see me boo athletes, because these young men, it's like an artist. They put everything out there for the world to critique. Most of us don't have the capacity to even perform in front of that many people. So to see that on camera, to see Coach Prime, what he's instilling in this young man, I've been away from my son half of his life. To see him doing this, or to see him being led by these men, man, makes a father very proud.
Yeah, I love it. And that's one of the things, again, I was going to double back on about Titus and just his mindset. When you talk about that Denzel story, before that, that day and after that, you live in a world where sometimes people kind of shy away from achievement, or shy away from talking about what they want to do with themselves. And, from day one, he has always made it clear to his teammates that he wants to be a doctor.
Yeah, good. Yeah, no, I say that, man. God wants you to be great. You gotta. There's nothing wrong with talking about being great.
No, not at all.
You gotta back it up.
Not at all. You got to claim it. It's power in the tongue. I mean, that's you talk about talking with your other son about acting. I call Chico Mijo too, so he gets it.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yo, it's funny, man. So growing up, back in the day, there wasn't a lot of Hispanic guys that played football. Matter of fact, when I played Coach Hill, I was the only guy, right? And so it's funny, because a lot of my teammates now, and then now Titus's teammates, they catch a lot of that. I call them all Mijo. My teammates used to come, especially a lot of, athletes that came from the South. They come to a Mexican place. We like to cook with some good spice, and man, it made them feel like home, and everybody calls them Mijo and Mija. It's a different, but I love it, man, and I'm sure Coach Prime gets some of that out of Texas, right?
It's just the thing with Uncle Neely that it'll mean something different. You know what I mean? So it'll be love if it was somebody else. But Uncle Neely, you gotta say, no, call me my name.
No, Mijo. This guy, I do enjoy working with my Mijo. It's a father-son business,
Oh, there you go. Right on.
Well, let's ask this, because you mentioned your football background. Talk about that, and then how did that lead to Fresno State? And then I have a question about a picture that you sent in for me.
Yeah, so I played locally. I was a running back. High school you play everything, outside backer, a little bit of safety and corner. But again, I was good at academics. So the I got into a bunch of schools academically, but the only schools that were looking at me for football, some smaller schools, St. Mary's, Cal Lutheran back in the day had a football team. And the only two Division I schools were Fresno State and San Diego State. And so Fresno State's where I decided to walk on. And, after my year it was myself, a guy named Cameron Worrell, who ended up playing for the Bears, Sam Williams, who played for the Rays for 8 years. And I figured my little 5'9" tail better stay good at school, man. So I decided I went to medical school, right? So, but it was amazing to me as well, just because times have changed with football. There I go. So as a matter of fact, the gentleman 37 was another walk-on that ended up earning a scholarship. He's the chief of the fire department in Oakland, California. So everybody there, did their thing. And that's why, I work with a lot of ex-athletes, and there's some very realistic things that will happen, right? Depression, anxiety, when they lose that spotlight. And, but if you can use the tools that are learned in football, you can be very successful, because nobody will outwork you. You know what I mean?
Right.
When I would work a 28-hour shift at the hospital, it was nothing, because I've done that. I've been knocked down,
Yeah.
And so for myself, walking on, then earning a scholarship, it meant a lot. It meant a lot for myself. It taught me so many lessons. And to this day, there's still things that when we get together, that I attribute, I don't know what's on conceded, but I consider myself a good physician, but because I played sports, I can relate to my patients because I played sports.
There you go. And I got to make sure this is relating to something. You got that C on your chest right there.
Back then, I had the mustache too. I don't know.
You had the mustache. You got the C on your jersey. Now, Uncle Neely had a C on his jersey. It stood for cakes and cookies. Yours stood for captain?
Yeah, for captain, or carnitas, right? We'll say it in Spanish.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I was one of the captains. It was me, a guy named Alan Harper, and David Carr. So David Carr. So that year, we were a pretty good squad. We beat, back then, Oregon State was ranked number 2. Then we beat Colorado, Wisconsin. We lost to a team nobody knew about called Boise State, man. So to this day, I gotta, I still, I root for some of the players, but I gotta stick with Fresno State.
That's right.
Yeah.
Coach, let me ask you this, Coach, Doctor, Father, all of that. You talked about your appreciation of the cameras that are in Colorado football, so you get to keep up with Titus, watching the programs that are produced out of there. You talked about that synergy of faith and family, and how y'all were drawn to Coach Prime's program. Yes. But there's something else that I've noticed that you and Coach Prime have in common in your different businesses and walks of life being the same, is you understand, my brother, the power of social media. You run a pretty intense Instagram program, and I hope everybody after this starts watching you, following you on your IG. What is it about your understanding of social media and your business of health is wealth and fitness and taking care of yourself that you just understood? I got to utilize this.
You know what? It's funny. This is gonna sound nerdy, but there's a law of thermodynamics, right? It's actually the first law of thermodynamics, which says that energy is never created or destroyed, but rather transferred. Energy is created, but rather transferred.
That's
the
right.
reason I say that's important is because if you were to follow the path of a social media post, so we've all had that social media post where you read it like, oh man, I get so angry, I'm gonna respond, right? Or the opposite. You've seen a social media post where you look and you go, oh man, I remember that happened to me, and you feel great. And so we have the power to transfer our energy. And to sound crazy, even a song, right? A sound comes out of the speaker. I see them bumping the music in the room. The kids are waiting. That sound literally vibrates your tympanic membrane, hits your vestibular nerve, hits a signal in your brain. You say, oh my gosh, I have this feeling, right?
Yeah.
And that's literally a chemical reaction from a wave, a sound, or something that you've seen. So I figured, a lot of people out there talk about the negativity in this world, but there's a lot of good in this world. And if we can share our energy through a post, you go from being able to talk to one patient, maybe 40 patients, 30 patients a day, to maybe being able to reach thousands of people. And those thousands of people may be that kid in Chicago that would never be able to hear a physician speak and say, you know what? He looks like me. or you know what, he has the same background, he played ball like me. Yep. And so to me, when I realized that's the power of social media, it's, you know, what energy are you putting into this world? And so it works for me in a sense that I get to talk about the things that I love, which is health, fitness, football. I like to give education. You know, 2 days a week, I do take care of the underserved and the elderly. I wish I could do it every day, but, you know, I got bills to pay as well. And so at least these are ways that I can treat everybody the same. Everybody can learn. See, I got one of my elderly patients there. Everybody can learn. That's Virgil Ortiz, one of our world champs at 154 right there. You know, it's a way to share, you know, my energy. And I think you guys obviously do a great job of that as well.
Appreciate it. You were there over in Saudi Arabia with Ortiz, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I was there in Saudi Arabia as well. And then, you know, I've taken care of quite a few fighters, but, you know, it all takes a hold when it comes to football, man. I made a promise to myself. You know, I was working extremely hard, and, you know, we all have financial goals. And then last year I said, you know what, it's not about finances. My goal this year is to be in Chicago every 2 weeks, to see my other little boys, and to be at every home game for Titus. And I accomplished that. And I don't know how rich I was financially, but I felt like a very rich man being able to do that.
There you go.
Hey, amazing right there. That was going to take me right into the next question. You might have just answered it right there, which is, you know, outside, you know, not getting into science or medical field or anything like that. But what does being a prime parent mean to you?
It means a lot. It means a lot because, you know, I'll say it, you know, with all the popularity that Coach Prime and the Colorado program has, there's always a lot of negativity too. And so I love to be able to defend the program and speak for the program. And I'll give you an example. When my son went there, I remember a guy said, oh man, I'm gonna be a Buffs fan now. And he right away, he said, well, what do you think about, you know, I could tell the way he was questioning. So I always tell people this, listen, what you've heard is kind of like where kids gossip. I'm going to tell you what I've seen firsthand. So my son, great grades. I think right now he has a 3.7 GPA, right? I've seen, and that's not just him. I think the program is also excelled. Yep. They have to pray every morning. Remember, I've been away from my son half of his life. They're not allowed to curse in front of female staff, right? I get to see incredible men like Denzel Washington and others come and mentor my son. I go, man, I wouldn't ask for any other program, right? And at the time, I won't say what university, but there was a big fight. I remember with these two big universities and a halftime, or not a halftime, on the field. And I said, man, that would never happen under Coach Prime's watch. And after that, the guy told me, he goes, man, you know what? And him being a religious guy, he said, I never thought about that way. I just saw football. And I go, well, man, sometimes you have to open your eyes a little bit more, you know?
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was a long answer, but it means a lot. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to me. Yeah.
No, let me say this to you personally about you being a prime parent and your willingness, you know, to stand up and stand out and put the correct information out there when incorrect information is being touted and shared. We love sharing negative, right? You know, go around the world, and it always, man, is just like crazy to me how people will need no proof to believe a lie.
Yeah.
But they demand like endless proof to accept the truth. And so you're always like combating that they'll take this first thing they heard without any evidence to support it. But when you try to defend it, now they want facts and they want figures and they want pictures. And here's the beauty of when you operate the way Coach Prime does. Oh, we got receipts.
Yeah.
So if it's facts you need to back up your position, we can provide it.
Yeah. You know what, man? I think in this world too, we're always talking about, oh, this person is Republican, he's Democrat, this guy's Latino, this person's Black. We always focus, a doctor, is a nurse. We focus on the differences. If we sat together, we're going to find a lot of differences. But have we ever thought about if we sit together, how many things that we share in common, right? And that's what really makes us human. So a lot of people look at me and they'll say, oh, you know, you're a Hispanic doctor, or if they see me speak Spanish, my family. That's actually one of the roles that I look. That's not number. I see myself as a father. That's one of the most important titles that I wear. The second title is that of a doctor, a physician. You know, I love to take. It's my duty to take care of the sick, right? So before I'm down here as a Hispanic or a Latino, whatever, a lot of us share fatherhood together. A lot of us share, other things, our spirituality. So, I always tell people that. I go, you know what, man, we can sit here and talk about the differences, or we can really get to know each other and say, man, we share this in common,
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're gonna find what you're looking for. I tried to tell Chico's old lady that when she called me up and said, I think I'm gonna go through Chico's phone. I said, you're gonna find what you're looking for. And you gotta.
This man crazy.
Yeah.
Doc,
like
one of you mentioned
that last wish, delete my DMs, right? Yeah, I get it.
We just gonna throw his whole phone away. We just burn it.
That's what Shannon Sharp said. You got to bury my phone with me. That's gonna be a heavy casket.
I'm just saying, when I'm at the doctor and I'm doing a procedure on a patient, I grab the phone of the wife or I put it on the counter. I don't give it to the other one.
That's right.
I got you guys.
My dog.
Yeah.
And that's why
Doc, you mentioned of all the many hats you wear, how fatherhood is number one, right?
Yeah.
And that's a common ground. Chico and I joke a lot with each other, but that's a common ground we share as well. We online, offline, we have a lot of fatherhood conversations. And one of the things that Coach Prime has prided himself on is, from his staff standpoint, you got to be a good dad to work for him. Because he says philosophically, if you're not doing right by your own kids, how can I expect you to do right by somebody else's? And so that fatherhood component is one of the things he leans on in his hiring process. What does it say to you from a comfort standpoint? Not only do you know who Deion Sanders is, you get a Denzel, you got the cameras there, but you know that Titus is surrounded by a room of good fathers as well.
Yeah.
Good men.
That means a lot to me because, again, in the field that I've been, as a matter of fact, I have a good friend staying with me right now whose NFL career was great, multiple years in NFL, but it all comes to an end, right? And there's a lot of things afterwards that you have to deal with as a man, right? And unfortunately, being a father is how would I say this? It's this whole other monster, right? My father used to tell me this all the time. He goes, when we cry, where do we cry? We cry in the shower, because crying in public shakes the stability of or the security of our family, right? And so it's one of those things I learned at a very, very young age. My father, he witnessed his father, beating his mom. My dad never touched my mom, right? He learned it on his own, and I learned it from my dad. So really quickly, I wanted my son to see what being a good, person, but also being a good dad, and that also means taking care of his mom. I tell people that all the time, man. I give Nicole a lot of credit. She's the one that took him to all these practices. She took him to, wrestling and track. She's raised him with this unconditional love, right?
Yeah.
As a father, the best way to take care of my son is to show respect to his mom and to take care of his mom. And, there's going to be times amongst guys we're going to, talk about our significant others or our baby's moms. But in front of my kids and in front of public, I will never disrespect his mom. She's an amazing woman. She does a great job. And I think that for me, seeing that with Coach Prime, because, you do hear the stuff, but you see how involved he is with making sure they're still involved with their mom. You see all the coaches he brings in, they talk about their families. And that's amazing. That's all you can wish for. Sports is just this much about it, man. And, the rest of life is so much more. Like I said, a great NFL career is 5 to 8 years. That's very small.
Right.
That's very small.
Right. If
Doc,
that,
we had we had Coach Chaney on yesterday, man. He hit us with a quote that reminds me of what you're talking about. And you've seen it as a player and a physician and seen it as a dad. And he said, you're going to spend much more time being a man than you are a football player. Playing football ends. Being a man is going to be the rest of your life. So you got to focus on that manhood development.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, again, those are the things that I really try to push, that I really try to push. I don't like to say the haters, but the people that maybe question, oh, Titus, how's it over there? Right. And I love the fact that Coach Prime and the coaches that there's not a Latino coach, because it opens their eyes even more. And they could say, look, man, this is a good human. Again, it's what we want to, how would I say, is the similarities. These are grown men teaching my son while I've been gone, while I'm not there, how to be a man, how to treat women, how to make for all these great things that they learn about. Don't wear slides. I love all that stuff, right? You know, as a physician, I get students that come to me. I had one the other day come to me with a t-shirt and jeans. The first thing I told him, no, mijo, this is a medical office. You got to go put at least a polo on, right? It's, you know, it's hot here in California, I said. And so I love that. I love that Coach Prime is instilling that, right? And that's not coming from a Hispanic dad. That's coming from a man from Texas, completely that, you know, I love all that. And so when I show the people that are surrounded that say, oh, Coach Prime, I always say, listen, that's what you see on social media. Let me show you the real, let's really dive into it, you know?
Yeah. Showing that pride for it right there, man. Much love.
Hey, that reminds me real quick, man, that picture. So I saw Michael Pittman when I was going to Fresno State. Michael Pittman was a running back, man, you know, played Tampa Bay. That was the guy we looked up to.
Yeah.
And I saw him when Fresno State played USC. He was all decked out in USC. And I said, man, how can you do that? Man, he's a Fresno State grad. Why is he? Not only until my boys started playing ball, and people say if Fresno State played Colorado, which I got to wear Colorado, man. I got to support my boy. So I finally realized it, man. Now that day, it was a double day. I went to see Colorado State play Fresno State. I think it was on a Friday. And then the next day I drove down to Boulder and saw Colorado play.
Yeah. Beautiful drive, isn't it?
Oh, man, it's pretty out there. Very beautiful. Very beautiful.
Doc, you talked about something earlier and kind of hit on it. And Uncle Neely talked about social media presence and stuff like that, but you also have to be aware. And I saw on your page, you know, not even a month ago, you know, with the AI situation, where, you know, I think I could play it right now. Let me see. Play it for the people in the back, but kind of let us know what happened with the AI situation and how, you know, people have to watch out for that too.
Yeah, absolutely. So that AI was a post, and it's not the first time that happened, but they basically, they've been reaching out to some patients, specifically elderly patients. So that's a fake video. And they'll say, hey, doctor, I'm Dr. B. I'm offering televisit appointments. And you know, most doctors would never do that. So I pretty much brought it out to bring attention, especially to our elderly patients, that, you know, be careful. But there's something good that comes out of that as well. It's, you know, being in the present, right? Don't believe the first thing that you hear. I remember there was an AI that I saw of Coach Prime, and he was throwing all these F words and bad words. And for all of us to know, he doesn't curse. But if you see the comments, oh, I've lost all respect. That is horrible. No coach should say that. So if anything, what we have to learn for this is to take a step back. You know, there's nothing like old-fashioned shaking hands and getting the information straight from the source, right? So that's one good that I see coming out of this. One, it's going to cause us not to be so quick to jump, but also to really listen and say, hey, man, is this something that they really said before I pass judgment, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And it sounds so elementary. We taught our kids this when they were in school. Hey, you know, no gossiping, don't believe that. But, you know, it's a reminder that, hey, even us as adults need to be careful out there and really, you know, before we judge or before we make a move, to think about it, right?
You got to have a nice.
Another thing we were talking about just the other day, I sent him a joking picture made by AI, and we both laughed at it. We were like, look, man, this tool in the wrong hands, you know, it's dangerous, you know. Because people will believe it because it's an image.
Right. Right. And there's some good new companies coming out that with you know, with digital signatures and things like that. I'm going to be working with as well to protect patients, to protect athletes with their name, image, and likeness. But, you know, for every bad, there's a good that comes out of it, right?
Yeah.
You know, my dad tells that story all the time, man. For, you know, him being homeless, him picking in the fields is the reason he became a doctor. So for every bad, you've got to find a good. And for this, I think it's going to slow people down. And I'm going to be able to say, hey, Big Doc Chico, hey, Unc, I want to see you. I want to talk to you, right? Mm-hmm. Versus Instagram posts, right? How, you know, we see a post that will have 1,000 likes, but how many texts, how many phone calls do we get on our birthday, right? Yeah, I deal with a lot of patients when they die, right? Because I mainly take care of elderly patients, right? So a lot of patients, when they're passing away, you see a lot of people come in, and everybody else says, man, I wish I would have, or right? And so, you know, if there's anything that's guaranteed is we're all going to meet our creator sooner than later, right? We got to make that time, because time isn't our friend, right? When people say, oh, time heals everything. No, it doesn't. right? Time goes quick. You go out there and you have a good friend, you call him, you tell me, man, happy birthday. You send him that text message, right? You know, instead of doing 1,000 likes on a brand new watch or a Mercedes, there's nothing like a happy birthday text, a happy Mother's Day, not just to your mom, I expect that, but to your grandmas and all that good stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that, Doc. I think that, you know, every time we have a problem, like you said earlier about just looking at stuff differently, it's really the opportunity for the solution, you know, that you can focus on. Because one, as a dad, and my kids are, you know, are young adults to adults now, one of the scary things for me about this AI stuff is it's not really the video, right? Because you can always kind of look for a blurry moment in the video or something not quite right. But that voice mimicking stuff, and what it's going to do, I think it's going to cause parents to have to sit down and have conversations with their kids they probably would not have had to have. Like, hey, we got to have a code word.
Yeah, you know, code word, absolutely.
If you get a phone call, and it's somebody that says like me, it sounds like me, and they're saying, hey, open the front door and let Chico in.
Yeah.
Ask me for the code word.
Right.
You know, we got to have a plan for this stuff now because the fail safes in the system are not built in, so we got to build them in.
I like you said that there's something called the Hispanic paradox, right? Hispanic paradox was, you know, despite very high numbers of diabetes, high blood pressure, a lot of Mexican American patients die at a lower rate of those things. So they studied for years, man, what's going on? How come diabetes, high sugar, high blood, and yet a lot of these first generation Mexican Americans are not dying of these things. And they've tried to study for years, and they ended up finding, I believe the studies were up north in Stanford, that they found it to having dinner together.
Get
socializing
out of here.
Yes. And that's how important socializing with your family is, right? Putting those phone down, like you said, putting the phone down and really getting to know your father, your grandmother, your aunts and your uncles, right? You know, not only is it's smart to protect us from AI, but it's actually what helps us live longer. Isn't that amazing? Right.
Wow.
So despite high levels of or prevalences of diabetes, high blood pressure, being in a social setting, which they attributed to eating dinner together. Now, unfortunately, that loses over generations, right? So second generation Hispanics, third, they start losing that because now we're on our tablets, we're on our phones, right? So I agree with you, Unc. I think we need to get back to knowing ourselves, knowing our family, right? Building that nucleus and, being healthier because of that.
Man, just think about that, guys. So, hey, if y'all out there ordering DoorDash, thinking you're going to go eat over here while your kids eat over there, they're going to watch their show. I'm going to watch my show. They got their pad. They're fine. You know, come on now. You want to live longer? Hey, the research says.
There was a time I was in Chicago. I was rounding, and I won't give ethnicities or anything like that, but I was rounding, and it was a very rich man. The cardiologist I was under, man, very famous cardiologist. He was sick, so he said, "You might go and see my patient." So I went and saw this guy who was a very rich guy. Man, massive room, alone. It was close to Thanksgiving, pretty much dying alone. And, you know, went, checked on him, you know, gave him my energy, blah, blah, blah. Then I had to go down into Cook County, right? Cook County.
Yeah.
Walk into Cook County, small little room. You're supposed to have 3 people in there. Man, there's 7 people in there and singing and family. And even though it was a much poorer hospital, and I don't mean that disrespectfully,
right?
They were rich with family, right?
Right.
And I guarantee that multimillionaire or that billionaire would have loved to have his family there, right?
Yes.
So, so we have to make that effort. And I think, like you said, we have to make an effort to know each other. Whether it's the code words, putting that phone down and say, this is something that only you and I would know because we communicated, right?
Right.
You know?
That's special right there, man. Hey, y'all get some gems tonight. If you're just tuning in, this is Prime Parents. Right now we have Dr. Jaun Bautista right here, live with us on Prime Parents on the Pregame Network and Big Dog Chico's channel right here, Speak Hustle TV. Doc, can you give us, let's go to some healthy advice right now. I see you giving advice on colon cancer, diabetes, everything on your page. Give us some healthy advice, you know, as far as, let me see. Let me set it up because I know you might say some. I want to ask you about this. Dieting. How can dieting help?
So I think, you know, if you were to look at, you know, the data with nutrition, right? You're going to get one side of the spectrum that's very vegan and plant-based. You can have the other spectrum that's very carnivore and protein-based, right? Or meat-based. And there's really not a lot of good data on both of those. But the best data, and the one that both of them agree in, is decreasing processed foods, right? Processed foods, as a matter of fact, a study in a BMJ British Medical Journal showed that about, I think it's like 68% of our American diet is from ultra processed food. Yes. Those foods have directly been linked to cancers, right? Cancer. So what I tell people, if you and I went to the zoo right now, we're not going to say, oh man, let me shoot down this tortilla early, or maybe we don't shoot anybody at the zoo. We went hunting, we would shoot down the tortilla, right? We go fishing, we're not going to pull up a pasta, right? Or a piece. So what I tell people, trying to get, this foods as natural as possible, right? Your fruits, your grass-fed meats, your organic eggs, right? All those things are really not going to kill you. It's the process through the packages. A funny story is my mom, right? My mom, she's watching this, she's gonna get mad at me for saying this. She goes, mijo. She goes, my blood pressure's not going down. I'm eating oatmeal every day. We call it Avena. I'm eating Avena every day. I go, Mom, are you eating like the Quaker oatmeal? Or are you eating the instant apple flavor, caramel apple? I go, Mom, has
it's all sugar.
10 times the sodium. Yeah.
Yes,
so we were young, they said salt's bad, right? Salt only really contributes about 4 points to your blood pressure. It's sodium, processed foods. It's what's in the bag. It's what's in the can. Food is not supposed to last that long, right? So, get those fresh foods is probably the best thing that you can do as number one, decreasing processed food. But the word diet, I'll also say is, diets don't last. If right now we say we're going to you guys are going to come visit me in California, we'll go on a diet, man. We'll look good for the beach. Once we get to the beach, we're going to have some fun, right? Those are short term. They don't last. So what I try to tell my patients is treat your nutrition like your work. Monday through Friday morning, try to eat clean. Come visit me in Chicago Friday night, forget about it. We'll get some pizza. But Monday through Friday morning, try to eat clean, non-processed, right? Because when we're also too strict and we tell our kids, no Coca-Cola, the first thing happens, they go to birthday parties, they go crazy, right? So it's about making it not a diet, but a lifestyle. If this weekend, me and go have a couple of beers, he said, cool, man, I'm drinking a couple of beers with Titus's dad. Monday, you see me drinking beers, and go, oh. Tuesday, by Wednesday, you're going to say Dr. B's an alcoholic. Why don't we say the same about tacoholics, pizza holics,
that's right,
McDonald's holics, right?
You ain't lying.
So that, there you go. So it's about, living life, right? But also, taking care of business. Is a great book called The Alchemist that kind of talks about that balance,
Okay. I think, Doc, what you're also saying too is, and correct me if I'm wrong, those foods that are one word ingredients, like yams,
right.
apples, you say them and you don't look at the back of the package and it says alpha submarine, whatever, all these other words that you can't pronounce. That's what eating clean is, and that's what we're trying to go with. No, I'm just messing on.
He can say uncle all he want to, Doc, and I can say your mama, so it's all good.
So
I tell you this, Doc. Sometimes what I do is to just like, okay, when I go to the grocery store this time, I don't care what I'm doing. I'm only going to shop the wall.
Yeah.
Because the wall is where everything is refrigerated.
Yeah.
And the wall is where the produce is. The wall is with the fresh stuff. It's when you go down the aisles that they have processed stuff.
Absolutely.
Now, I loved your analogy, Doc, and I got what you were saying, but I do want to point out that when you shop the wall, the exterior wall, beer is in that section in that refrigerator. So
that's right. Yeah, that's right. So
find a way to get it.
It's true. I think it's very important. Like you said, trying to get as natural. The analogy I'll give to my patients that I was complaining about bloating. I said, listen, if you and I bit an apple, we bite that apple and we put it on the counter. Within minutes, it becomes brown, right? A couple of days, it withers up to a core. Let's pick something healthy but processed. Let's get I don't want to get sued saying Cliff Bar, but let's get a health bar. You put that health bar, that protein bar on that counter, you take a bite, you put it there. 2 hours later, 2 days later, 2 months, I'm willing to bet 2 years that bar is still there.
You're right.
Right.
Like
so that's what processed foods do, man. They're really, they're not natural. Our food is meant to go in and out, right?
Yeah. Man, you know what I like, Doc, are those purple Okinawan sweet potatoes, because I did the research on them, because a lot of people over in Okinawa and Japan eat those, and they live a long time, right? And they're great for blood pressure.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what I've been on lately. And
there you go.
And you know what else, Chico, about the Okinawans is two things to help them live long. One, it's been proven through research about those purple sweet potatoes. And then two, just in cultural day-to-day knowledge, they don't talk shit to me. And so if you do one of those two things, you will have a long life.
You'll be all right. Yeah.
So I would say, Chico, stop worrying about them damn potatoes and keep your mouth closed when they come on. And you might live a little longer.
Yeah.
Oh, dog, I would be fine. Got a belly-to-belly suplex for him, Doc. That's all. Hey, so before we let you get up out of here, Doc, man, there's so many things we could cover with you. You know, we have on our show, Uncle Chico, we have Dr. Derek Burgess, right? Come on and he give us advice when we have injuries and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Hey, when you're available, we might have to call you if you
absolutely.
If
I would love to. That's kind of that's my specialty. They send me a lot of NFL players that aren't healing traditionally. A lot of I take care of a lot of cancer patients, right? So my job, I'm traditionally trained. I'm a regular MD, but I like to bring in a lot of functional medicine to talk nutrition, stress reduction, things of that nature. So no, I love all that. As a matter of fact, I tell people this. There was a study that was published we'll talk about cancer. There was a study that was published in Tel Aviv in Israel that showed doing high intensity interval training, right? High intensity interval training 3 days a week lowered our risk of metastatic cancer, so cancer spreading, by 78%.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? Right? And you could talk about the physiology, the glucose steal and things the reason it decreases those risks. We need to get into that part. I'm a huge fan. Yes, there's chemotherapies and therapies that we need to give, but we also need to start treating our body as a temple, right? With making sure we're eating less processed food, doing some high intense for interval training every now and then, walking. All those things are ways for our body to be able to handle these football games of life, such as cancer, heart disease, and diabetes.
And I tell you, Doc, I love the HIIT training.
Yeah.
Because one of the things it doesn't take a lot of time.
Yeah.
And one of the things you make an excuse for in our busy lives is like, I don't have an hour. I don't have 45 minutes. But you can get a HIIT workout and it be done in 20 minutes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And get the same results as somebody that worked out 2 hours.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there you go.
That's right. Well, let me see here. What do we call Dr. Derek Burgess when he come on?
We call him Black Man White Coat.
Nice.
We're gonna have to get you a name, Doc.
We got brown man white coat.
Brown man white coat.
Brown man white coat. There we go.
I see you repping that CU under your
Oh yeah.
I can't call it a jacket.
If I fly out on Friday, I gotta wear my Colorado gear.
What's the doctor coat exact correct term called? What is it called?
Just a white coat. So coats back in the day, you were black, right? They were all black because they meant it was almost like you were gonna die, right? Like, oh man. And then the white coat was more so for science, right? The purity of science and what happened back then. Science was seen as anti-religious, right? And so the merging of the white coat and the long black cloak, so to speak, is where science and medicine really converge. So that's why we wear a long white coat.
Man, so much great information right here on Prime Parents, the Pregame Network, Big Dog Chico, Speed Hustle TV. We're live and direct. Y'all make sure you hit the like, comment, subscribe, and also get in the chat right now and let Doctor know where y'all checking in from, so he'll know that we're worldwide, we're international right now, and he's spreading game all over like he does on his Instagram. Y'all make sure y'all go follow right now. If y'all have any questions before we get about it, y'all better get them in now. Go ahead, Unc.
If I could say one last thing too, Unc, if you guys have any young men that are young men and women that are interested in medicine, whether that be nursing, physician assistant, or becoming a doctor, send them my way. A lot of times they don't have people like us that they can relate to, or maybe they can identify with, or it's just hard to find a preceptor or a doctor. My father, myself, my brother have been dedicated to educating all people. And, there's a lot of people in the Latino communities that maybe don't have a mentor. You can always reach out to me, whether it's Chicago, California, we'll find some people for you. And I got enough friends that I'll put them in check. I'll be like, hey, you better take this student. So we'll get them right.
Because that's what it's all about, networking.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how people get coaching jobs all the time, right?
Chico, you got to be interested in more than just male catheters. You can't just try to just find this one little niche that you want to do. You got to broaden your horizons, brother.
That's all right. Chico don't know what that is, so I just keep going. You know what I mean? I just go to the next thing.
There you go.
Doc, I want to give you this shout out because you mentioned about science and life and longevity and all that kind of stuff. I was peeping a scientist give this report, right, on longevity and just the history of man. And he talked about how in the first part, from 0 to the 1800s, half the people, would die by age of 30.
Yeah.
And then when you went from the 1800s to the 1900s, we only increased by like 5 years. Half the people will be gone by 35. Whether that was disease, war, famine, whatever, that's just the numbers. Said, but since that time, you look at people's longevity and how people can live to be 75, 85, 90, 100. He said the key difference was the acceptance and embracing of science, and that medicine, the things that medicine propelled. He said, because he wasn't attacking the carnivores or the vegans. He said, you got to think about it. Back in that day, everybody was vegan.
Yeah.
Everybody started off, just eating vegetables, then went to only eating meat when we got fire. And so when you can learn the nuances of the science as in avoiding processed food, right?
Yep.
And then the nuances of the sciences as in new technology that, all these medical equipment and medical advances to detect stuff, you get a longer lifespan than we used to have.
Absolutely. There's, it goes hand in hand. There's a famous passage I like that certain clarities come with prayer and fasting, right? When we fast, and I tell people the science of this, when we fast, our body creates ketones, right? Specifically one called beta hydroxybutyrate. Beta hydroxybutyrate is great for your gut, great for your brain. That's why when you fast and you get into this ketotic state, your brain, you start thinking. So certain clarities come in prayer and fasting. In other words, those clarities, which we might say is science, right? Is study, came from prayer, right? So they go hand in hand, right? There's no need to say this is this and this is that. God wants us to be smart. God wants us to use our brain, man. We got a big old brain that we need to use. So I've always put it together, and the more I've been in medicine, the more it's actually made my face strong. Titus has made my face stronger, right? With what happened with him in Colorado, right? Or what's happening with him in Colorado. So I love it. I love science, and I love to be part of it, man. I love to be able to explain it with you guys, man.
I was telling Chico, again, man, you see Chico and I tease each other all the time, but this was a couple of weeks ago. And you talk about that faith portion of it, right? What you can learn from prayer. I said, Chico, if we didn't learn anything as men, if we didn't learn anything else from Jesus, because you talked about earlier, Doc, crying in the shower so nobody will see it.
Right.
If we didn't learn anything else from Jesus, with as badass as he was, he cried, he got mad, and he went to spend some time alone. Like if you can find a way to not be ashamed to be emotional, right, within and have emotional maturity with it, of course, and also understand there's sometimes that you just have to sit with yourself.
Yeah, right.
Whether you call that meditation, get the hell away from me, whatever it is. If he had to do it, why do you think you wouldn't have to?
Right. Absolutely right, man. You're absolutely right.
Well, there's some people out there that's looking to be, have their career going at the same time, but have to raise a family. What is one piece of advice you would give to those parents out there raising athletes or looking to raise athletes out there? What would be your piece of advice for them?
You know what? For one of the things that I share with a lot of athletes is we put a lot of work into the training, right? We tend to neglect the recovery. So if you look at, so the best ability is durability, right? So if you look at the next level of athletes, and unfortunately boxing, it's a lot of poor young kids. So they're still very old school. But if you look at now athletes in football and basketball at the next level, they're taking care of their recovery. That doesn't mean the day off, right? So these are things like investing in a sauna, in a red light panel, in PEMF mats, in massage, things that get our body recovered, right? I think that is one of the things that if I was a parent, because, if you're going to look at some of the least expensive modalities, it's literally going to be, things like the sauna, which you could get at a gym, breath work, PMF. So I think that's something that I would really focus on, because once kids get injured, man, it's just, they will get injured. As sports, it's a guaranteed equation, right? It's how quick we can get back from that injury.
but I'm telling you, we could ask you so much. We have so many questions for you.
Yeah.
We're only going to keep you for probably a couple more minutes, maybe one more question from the chat. Thank you for the super chat out there. You have any super chats or questions y'all want to get in before we get up out of here? Here's your chance to do so right now. But what has been the most impressive thing? I know you've listed a bunch of impressive things that you've seen and witnessed, and that you are very proud that Titus is a part of at Colorado. But what has been the most impressive thing so far that you have witnessed that he's been a part of?
Oh man, you know what? You're right. I have talked about a lot about it, but I you know, with the way this world goes, right? And you know, I'm just very, very realistic. I've seen a lot of death in my career, right? I am happy that if something happened to me, I know my son has learned how to be a man. That it's the X's and O's, man. You know, the coach is not teaching a different route there than they're teaching at Fresno State, right? The coach is not teaching a different gap protection than at Fresno State. It's the journey. And so for me, it makes me feel good as a father that my son is being looked after like one of his own. You know what I mean? Not as a black man, not as a Mexican man, not as a white, as a man. To me, I can't speak. I wish every kid could play there, right? Those 105 kids that are blessed. And if there's any young men that are listening on that team, you guys are blessed to be there. It's a blessing. From an outside in, I couldn't be happier. People are going to talk about, playing time. And man, you know, I was talking to one of my buddies that played. He didn't play till his senior year. Most people don't play till their senior year. Things have changed. You know, I'm here. Look at that view. I couldn't ask for anything more. So to ask me what I am impressed with, it is the energy. It is the energy that program is transferring to my son.
Hey, let's do this right here, Uncle Neely. Manny. Very, very amazing interview. Great interview. Very impressed with what we've seen online from Doc.
That's a good looking picture of me right there. Sheesh.
Great picture, man. You got some great pictures. I see why they tried to AI you. You got trustworthy pictures. You're like, hey man, he's trustworthy. We're gonna use him.
Yeah.
So that's a credit to you rather than anything else. So
I can say so much right here, Chico, but I'm just gonna
here we go. Here we go.
I'm not gonna do it.
Can't give a brother a compliment.
No, it wasn't. I appreciate your compliment to Doc. This was gonna be a diss to you.
Well, thank you to that Bankston.
Yeah,
They love this interview.
$5 I love this interview.
Yeah. Right. Also, Miss LJ came through and said, "Great show."
Wow.
We have people checking in from Lawton, Oklahoma, all the way up to NYC, to Tennessee, to Toledo, Ohio.
There we go.
All the way up to the Midwest where you went to school at and did your thing, man. You know what?
Yeah.
Before we get up out of here, how tough was that? Once again, like being in school, your family is away, and then, you know, talk about, first of all, you met your wife in Chicago because she's from there and you went to school there?
Yeah, no, California. She was in California, and then we moved out to Chicago, and, you know, we actually moved back to California for my training, and then my oldest son, got into an art school, and so we wanted him to be exposed to the best, and, you know, and it had to be in Humboldt Park, the west side of Chicago, called Shy Arts, and so he dances ballet, does theater arts, acting, and, you know, so we decided, hey, it'd be best. And we, Nicole and I already lived in different homes, so we said, let's, you know, we'll get you in Chicago. And yeah, we just loved it out there. And it's definitely hard to be away from my kids, but it's, you know, again, it's that energy. When you're there, right? And so when I'm there, I've been blessed as well to have a career where, you know, I work really, really hard, and then when I have time off, my phones are off and I'm with my kids. I get to take them to school. You know what I mean? So it was hard. I don't like to use the word. It was mentally challenging, right? But again, I'm not knocking it. But my father picked in the fields at 105-degree weather. I didn't. My father picked cotton up in Northern California. I didn't. So for me to go out and say this is hard, it would be a slap in the face to my parents and my grandparents who worked harder than I did. You know what I mean? So that's why I look at it. You know.
Much love and salute, brother. I appreciate you, Doc. Hey man, if you ever need a platform or anything else, hey man, this is right here for you at any time, any place. Just hit me up and we can get it going. Anything you want to leave? Man. Yeah.
Take
Go ahead
care
and give
of
your
my boy
shout out
Titus.
before we go. Go ahead and give a shout out before we go. Shout out to all your people, family, wherever.
Yeah, man. I want all the family that's watching here in Chicago and California. Want to give you guys a shout out. Awesome. Also to Titus's teammates, man. There's some very, very nice young men that have made Titus feel very welcome. Shador Sanders, when Titus first showed up at Colorado, Shador actually reached out to him and I was a freshman, man. No seniors ever talked to me. So I want to give those guys a shout out too, man. You guys there's a bunch of nice young men that are out there, and I'm proud of you guys. And when you guys finish, if you guys are nervous, if you're scared, if you're lost, give me a call. And if I can't do it, I'll find someone that can help you out.
Absolutely. Thank you, Doc.
Back in the day, we used to say, "I got your back." I don't know if they say that anymore.
Oh, you say,
So
"I got your back. I got your back."
Man, So yeah. So now I don't know.
Yeah, it just means something different when Chico says. So be careful.
Nowadays, people got to say pause and stuff.
Pause and all that stuff. Yeah, man.
Neely be chasing me. I got your back. I got your back. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Can't touch my back. All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, Doc, thank you so much. We're gonna let you
All
get
right,
up
guys.
out of here. All right.
All right, man. Have a good
Till
night.
next time. Yes, sir.
All right, brother.
Man, y'all better
Another
make some
bang.
noise out there in the chat.
As DJ Khaled would say, another one.
Another one. We're gonna get up and up out of here. Peace in the Middle East. Yeah, let's go.